Not sure why I was muted. Gotta love the OBS. Sorry guys, just making sure everything is set up okay. Jack Static and Himps. How's it going, guys? Do I sound okay? Is the audio coming through alright? Aside from what you probably hear is my air conditioning, which is kind of loud and obnoxious. Fine. Cool. I'm gonna put on some music as well, just because I'm that guy. Let me know if that's too loud. It is Brian with an I. I spell it with an I. Thank you for asking. AC is just a buzz. It's, I guess it's a lot louder in person. But it's a little warm out, and usually I get even warmer while streaming because my PC gets warm, which makes my room warm. So, just using it for today. Did I change the switches in the Kepler? Not yet. So, if you guys maybe didn't see, Heiny Bush did a stream yesterday. He is the designer of the H87A PCB, which was in the prototype Kepler that I was building and using, and I guess owning. But he had my PCB plate kind of assembly, because he was troubleshooting it, and he did fix it. So that was really cool. So that's going to be on the way back to me probably now. Once I get it back, I might swap it out a little bit, or I might, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think I'm probably going to do another Kepler stream where I go through a couple different builds, because Project Keyboard also sent me a new copper plate, a new fancy copper, I think it's sandblasted plate. It looks really, really, really nice, and I'm excited to use it. They also sent me another PCB. So I think I'm just going to do, a copper plate build, and then I'll do either the carbon fiber build as I have it, or I'll do it differently. Maybe swap the switches out. I'm still a little unsure, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I still have a little bit of time. I'm pretty excited for that, though. I've been looking forward to using the Kepler for a while now, and I haven't really been able to. So I'm really excited to actually be able to use it. That's gonna be pretty darn hype. Two streams in Overwatch. Who else are you watching, Gio? I tried to stream early enough to where I wouldn't overlap with everyone else, because I know other people stream on Wednesdays too. Sensei Jia, thank you so much. Welcome, my friend. Next on Deck is going live now? I thought they were going live at 6 Pacific, which is 8 Central. I tried to get an hour earlier, because I don't think this stream is going to take a super long time. I might be online for anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. I'm not lubing anything. We do have to kind of do a little bit of disassembly and reassembly of a Norba Force. I'm just going to apply a variety of these rings, just to try to test them out. It's going to be fun stuff. We live in an hour. Yeah, see, okay. See, I think about this stuff. I try not to clash with other streamers too much. So, I mean, ideally by the time they're starting, I'm kind of wrapping up and I can just, you know, send everyone over via a raid or a host. Your boy thinks about this stuff, alright? Welcome all. So the bot has pinged the Discord. If you haven't noticed, we swapped it from the bot ping general to the bot ping announcements. Maybe a little bit cleaner. Hopefully you guys like that a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see. Welcome, Mr. Petrov, Pilot. Azlejo. Tefrim. Do I have any opinion on palm plate with tactile switches? I haven't tried it yet, but I am going to. So if you guys don't remember, I do have the Palm Sirius prototype, and my version is using a palm plate as well, so it's palm on palm on palm. I got the Novel Keys cream switches in there, which are all palm as well, which is really, really cool. I've been absolutely loving the build until just yesterday. It's what I've been using for well over a week now. But I do plan to swap out the creams and put some kind of tactile in there, just because palm is such a new material to me that it'd be nice to try to test out a few different things and, you know, kind of get some thoughts and opinions out there, because I have been asked that a couple times now, and I hate not being able to answer questions accurately when I'm asked, so I try to push a lot of different experiences onto myself and others. Have you gotten your Kepler fixed yet? Yeah, so the plate PCB assembly did go to Heine Bush, who did fix that on his own personal stream yesterday. It turns out, just like we kind of thought, when I broke off the USB port, the traces were a little too close to it, and I kind of just wrecked one, I guess. So he was able to fix it just by adding a jumper. So that's probably what happened to Nathan's PCB as well. Just a educated guess, but that should be on its way back to me either today or tomorrow. So I'll have that back pretty darn soon. It's going to be awesome. I'll do another stream of the Kepler where I'd maybe do a rebuild on that, and I also test out my new configuration, which will be a copper plate. Salt Rock Lamb, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub, man. Appreciate that a lot. 5 whole months. Alright, I guess I should probably start any minute now. Yeah, the Palm Sirius is legit, man. I'm really happy with that. Just ate 3 homemade burgers and 2 chicken breasts. Oh, the gains to come. Oh boy, putting on that protein. Sergimond? Just subbed with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much for that, man. Love that wrist dress. I do too. This wrist dress is awesome. It's amazing. Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this build stream of Top Clack. Today I'm going to be testing out a bunch of different Topre silencing rings, all from Deskeys. So I got the number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. And if I'm not mistaken, those refer directly to the thickness. I'll pull up a sheet in a second to, actually, I think I already have it up. Hold on. Sorry, guys. So the number 2 is 0.2 millimeters in thickness. Number 3 is 0.3 millimeters, 0.4 millimeters on the number 4, and 0.5 millimeters on the number 5. So the thickness scales with the number. If you guys maybe aren't familiar with Topre silencing methods, there have been several in the past. Most of them, not exactly accepted as amazing. There have been, let's say, dental bands really didn't go over too well. Hypersphere rings were definitely one of the better ones, but they were still a little thick and kind of gave you a little bit less tactility, a little bit more mushiness on the upstroke. People use them. They were a little expensive, but it's kind of a dying breed now ever since we've seen a couple more iterations from other vendors in the market today, like KBD Fans has these Silence X rings, I think they're called, and those are pretty inexpensive, and people have been more or less liking those. But Deskeys wanted to try something a little bit different. So one thing I do want to say right off the bat is I like the fact that they give you a bunch of different thicknesses, so you can kind of tailor it a little bit more to your specific tastes. Maybe you want to go for the 5. You want to get something that's probably going to be really, really, really quiet, but maybe takes away a little bit of the tactility. Maybe is a little mushy. Who knows? That could be a trade-off for you. Or you can go the exact opposite. Maybe you only want a little extra silence, but you don't really want to affect feel too much. You can opt for the number 2, which is the ultra-thin version. So I'm not sure how any of these are really going to perform in real-world practice, but that's why we're here today. So I have my Realforce, which I conveniently need to dome swap anyways. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to dome swap this, and during that we're going to apply these in various spots. I'll probably do I'll probably do the 60% cluster here in one of these, and then I'll probably do I'll probably sprinkle the rest elsewhere. Maybe, the arrow keys can get the thickest ones, and the nav cluster can get the second thickest ones, and, up here can get the number 3 or something. We'll probably put that to a vote, and we'll see what happens there. But I don't really want to, put these on the entire board, then take them off, and then put these on the entire board and take them off, and continuing, because that would take a ridiculous amount of time and effort, and I don't want to spend 5 hours on stream doing that. So we're just going to try to do this in one go, and try to get a general idea of how these are going to perform. So I think what I'll probably do is I'll probably take a poll, a straw poll, on what you guys think is the most interesting out of these 4 variants, and whichever one you guys vote as the most interesting will go on my 60% cluster, basically, and that's what I'll be using to type, and then the others will kind of just go around and we'll do a little sound test from there. Do you think we can get a comparison to Silence X and or Hypersphere during this? I'm not sure if you have a few extras of each. So unfortunately, I don't have any of either. I don't have any Hyperspheres, I don't have any dental bands or Silence X rings or any of the other versions that are on the market. Longtime viewers of Top Clack know that I don't like Topre silencing methods, at all. I don't really see a need for it. I don't need perfect silence. I don't need really, really, really quiet boards. That's just something I don't need, and I've never been infatuated with it, so I just don't. I just usually lube my Topre, which takes away half of the sound already, and that already makes it more than quiet enough for me. So I can't do the comparison there. I have a vague memory of how Hyperspheres used to feel, because I have used them before, as well as dental bands. I haven't tried the Silence X rings, but I think at least for today we can figure out whether these are viable, whether these are good or not. So that's where we're at today, boys and girls. Goodbye, Chi. You gotta leave for now. So I already have the bottom off here. So a little bit of backstory on this particular Realforce. just in case anyone maybe missed the build stream that I did the Normaforce on, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I don't even remember at this point. But I got this Realforce secondhand from a user in the Discord, and it came without domes, which I was totally okay with because I was planning on putting BKE domes in it anyways. But you know, he kind of neglected to tell me that when I got it, most of these screws didn't exist. There weren't screws in the assembly at all. Pretty much, there was only a couple of these ground screws, and that was pretty much it. And the rest were all missing. And I was like, well, crap, what the heck? You know, kind of a bummer. So I got it for a pretty low price, so I can't complain too much. But I was a little bummed out because something kind of felt and sounded a little bit off. But, you know, what I did is I went to a local specialty screw store and I ordered a bunch. And that's what all of these are. These should be the right size and length, but I'm not entirely sure. I still kind of get a little bit of that kind of off feel, but I don't know if that's from the domes or from the lack of original screws or elsewhere. So hopefully we can kind of figure that out today. But regardless, what we're going to do here is we're just going to disassemble this. And then we are going to do a little dome swap, and while we're doing that, we're going to install some silencing rings. Yep, haven't tried Silence X. I mean, if I asked Way for, you know, a bag of Silence X to review, he would probably send them out immediately, because, you know, that's just what Way does. He's kind of a nice guy, generally speaking. So, I've never had the desire to. Excuse me, guys. I'm just going to grab some different BKE domes here, if I find the ones that I want. I think I'm going to go with these ones. I'm trying to remember what each one of these are. Are the blacks are heavy, right? I'm pretty sure these ones are the ultralights. I'm pretty sure that's what I have in there already. So we're taking these out. I think the white are extremes, if I recall. So this is the heaviest version. I'm assuming these are the lights and these are the heavies, because I have less of these, because I have them in my HHKB. Purple ultralights. I already have the ultralights in there. I'm not actually liking them that much, honestly. I think they're fine. But I kind of want to go with the slightly heavier lights. And I'm pretty sure these are the lights. Hopefully someone in chat can confirm for me, otherwise I'm going to look really stupid here. But I'm pretty sure that is correct. In theory, I have way more of the lights because my HHKB has the heavies in it. So I'm assuming these are lights. Your lights are blue. You guys. Okay. I'm gonna proceed under the assumption that these are the lights. So that's what we're gonna be working with. Stock domes. Nothing wrong with stock domes. I'm more of a 55 gram man myself, but nothing wrong with stock domes. I'm gonna take these out first. I'm gonna take this assembly out before I actually start on anything here. I think I need a bit that that set doesn't have. put on nipples to test. You guys are ridiculous. You guys is ridiculous. Unplug this block here. Take out this ground as well. Okay. Now we can set this aside for the time being as my screw and washer goes everywhere. I do need these washers though. These are important. I'll keep those. Just gonna put these over here for safekeeping. Top Clack on a Wednesday. Nice. Yeah, I agree. This is kind of an impromptu stream, and I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, because that's what I prefer to do. We're really close to applying for partner, and the way it works is you kind of have to have a set amount of average viewers within a 1 month period, and you have to have a set amount of average streams in a 1 month period. You have to have a set amount of hours streamed in a 1 month period, etc., etc. And I think the period kind of rolls over, like, as the day goes on. The days go on, I guess. And I think if I stream today, and I also do a build stream on Friday, which I was planning on doing anyways, in addition to our normal show on Thursdays, we should be at the right number of streams moving forward, as long as we stay at 3 streams a week. To apply for Twitch partnership. So that's actually like half the reason I'm streaming today. But I wanted to work on this anyways, so we'll be good. Light redux, light gray color. Okay, so I was right. Holy shit, it's a wild brain. That's right. I do have a brain, I think. Maybe. I should probably take the caps off, huh? That'd probably be important. I do think in the future I'm probably just going to get a different Realforce configuration. Maybe try to grab an 86U instead of the 87U, so I can get a little bit more symmetrical bottom row. Sorry if that's loud, guys. I just realized that's right by the mic. So I did lube this last time when I built it, so no need to lube again today. Moving average. Yes, thank you. A moving average. I didn't know the exact terminology for that. Caught the vintage bug, so you haven't taken the plunge on Topre still. It's hard to try everything, man. Not to cannibalize content, but did you get a look at the 1800 mini IC? I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm sure I will see it either tonight or tomorrow before the show. Usually, like, early in the day on Thursday, we'll go through and finalize all of our topics for the Thursday show. So that's usually when I intake the bulk of my weekly information, because I learn all about... I read up on all the threads and stuff before we go live. Bro, when are you gonna put Dixie Mecca the sponsor GIF? That should be fixed tomorrow. I think it's actually fixed now. I just haven't done it. I could quite literally do it right now live on stream. Hold on. We casual out here. Alright, let me just test and make sure this is the right one. Alright. Let's go ahead and do this. Sorry guys. F it, we're doing it live. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn that off, turn that off, adjust this one a little bit. This one should have Dixie in it. Hey, look, that's pretty convincing. Alright, that should be good. Just gonna make sure it loops properly. Okay. There we go. Dixie is now officially part of the sponsor GIF. You got a high tech on the way with Black Space Invaders. That's pretty awesome. Space Invaders are cool. So I need to pick up a Topre board. What would y'all recommend besides the HHKB? Alright, so besides the HHKB, I guess probably just a Realforce. I mean, it's not like you have a ton of options, right? You get the you get a couple of different varieties of the Realforce, or you can do an FC660C. I think as far as like stock Topre typing experiences, both of those are better than the HHKB. If you're a slightly heavier typist, you want a little bit more crisp, round tactility. In my opinion, you should aim for a 55-gram Realforce. That is my preference. Topre's pretty cool, though. I feel like everyone should try Topre. Only 45 viewers. I guess it is. It is a Wednesday. It's an impromptu stream on a Wednesday. Transfer that into a little different tub because I'm going to need this for domes. Alright, now we can work on taking this apart. Wasn't the HHKB Pro 2 rumored to get an update in late 2019? Yeah, some people are expecting fall of this year. .55 is the best of the stock domes. I agree. Not everyone does, though. A lot of people really prefer that 45 gram. I find it a little less tactile. Is that TA90 on the top board? Yes, it is. So my most recent build stream before this featured this. This is the Kira 80. I built it for Mike over at Novel Keys. This is GMK TA90 on it. I had a little bit of an issue with the PCB, but I did fix it. I just had to reflow the MCU a couple times, and now everything is working properly. I'm just using it for a day or two before I send it back to him, just to make sure everything's going well on it. Nothing is better than lubed and silenced HHKB. Yeah, actually, I'd be doing this test on my HHKB if I had it, but one of the top Clack moderators is borrowing my HHKB and has been for a long time. I honestly probably should just buy another one. I want to put the 55 gram domes that I have back in my HHKB, because that is the good feels, if you know what I'm saying. So many screws on a Realforce, guys. Come on. The Raging Asian sub tier 1 for 14 months. What's up, Ray? Hello to you as well. Been enjoying the Clack silencing pads. I don't think I've tried those. I heard they were good, but I heard they were like really obnoxious to put on. One of the things I'm excited with the Deskeys silencing rings is that they are PET coated on both sides, so it should be really easy to apply. Yeah, Hyperspheres do get kind of phased out. I feel like they've been phased out for a little while now. I swear it takes half an hour just to take a Realforce apart. Use that sub money for an ES 121? Maybe. How much do those cost? I'm really okay with, like, manually undoing screws. It's not too big of a deal. That's all of them. Alright, so not terribly uncommon for this to happen, where some of the domes will stick to the PCB more or less due to the pressure, and some will not. So this is not terribly uncommon of a situation. What I want to do is I want to separate the domes and the springs But I also want to make sure I don't get the springs kind of smashed up with each other, because they can be obnoxious to take off. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to just separate them. I'm going to try to keep the domes a little bit more individually standing. I'm sorry, the springs. I'm going to try to keep those a little bit more on their own. The domes obviously don't really matter because they don't really get tangled up with each other. But if you've ever dealt with a big jumbled mess of Topre springs, you know exactly what's going through my head right now. So we'll just kind of separate them here one at a time. Hopefully. I did have the Xiaomi Wow Stick, you are right. I had the Xiaomi Wow Stick, but let's just say it wasn't wowing me. I mean, it was also not very expensive. I think it was like $40 or $50, maybe even less. But it was kind of a cheaper knockoff of the ES121. I don't know, $121 for the ES121. That's pretty ironic. Coincidental, I guess. I don't know. This seems like a lot of money for something I can do like manually so easily. Probably would be good to invest in one, but I don't know. I think there's other things I want to increase stream quality with before I spend it on that. Like, I kind of want to get a better mic setup. I want to get like a mixer and a better mic, so you guys could get a little bit better audio quality. I want to get a better camera too, but I think that's a little bit more into the future, because that's also going to be a lot of money. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Put the dome bowl on the same side as the spring bowl. I'm not putting the springs in a bowl. I'm quite literally just laying them out in like a grid array on my desk pad. And I need a lot of space, so that's why I didn't put the bowl on that side. Should I put the extreme domes in here? I wonder if I should do extremes instead of the lights. I think the lights would probably be more realistic, though, to test out the silencing pads, since more people would use the lights over the extremes. I like reaching across every time, though. Making my life complicated is pretty much how I do things. It's okay, guys. We will prevail. I promise. Dropped a spring, but caught it because I'm a pro. Do extremes with the thick rings? Maybe. Maybe. I think I'll put up a straw poll after this to vote on which domes and which rings. Silence X don't work that well with heavies either. Is it because the heavies just have more force to them when you bottom out? Okay, I think we'll go with the light then. Because BKEs can get a little loud just because they're so snappy. I think the light will probably be a better representation. Yeah, I kind of wish I had either just stock 45 or 55 gram board. That way I can test it a little bit easier with genuine Topre. Although I guess the BKE domes are kind of popular still. I feel like a lot of people still use them. Okay. I'm going to set my PCB aside for now. We are going to put these domes back away. Then we're going to take out the sliders and apply the rings. We're going to get down on our knees and apply the ring. We're going to ask the Topre to marry us. Trying to get away from me. I see you. Alright. So I'm just going to go ahead and push these out with the opposite side of one of my lubing brushes. Most of these should come out pretty easily since they've already been popped before. So the stabilized keys left. What's up, Talisman? Good to see you, man. He here. 159 with the tier 1 sub. Thanks, man. Hope you're having a swell day. Like me. I'm just setting these stabilized keys off to the side a little bit so I can work on them a little bit easier. Okay. So that should be all of my sliders out. Looks like it. Alright guys, let's start the first straw pull here. Give me a sec. Which thickness rings for main cluster? We'll do 0.2 mil, 0.3 mil, 0.4 mil, and 0.5 mil. So basically what we're going to do, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, the main 60% cluster of this board is going to get one of these 4 thicknesses. You guys are going to be the deciding factor there. And then I will use the rest across the rest of the board just to try to get a comparison. Because there's no way I'm taking this board apart 5 times during the stream. So guys, vote using this straw poll linked in chat now, please. Yeah, don't vote in chat, just vote on the straw poll. And you guys can tell me by a majority which one you'd like to see the most. .3 millimeter with a commanding lead right now. Keeping the light domes? Yeah, I'm going to go with the BKE Redux Light. That's the plan. Currently, 0.3 millimeter is still winning with 50% of the vote majority. 0.2 millimeter and 0.5 millimeter tied at 21% of the votes. Please use that straw poll there to vote. I'll link it a couple more times for anyone that might have just arrived. Vote on this poll, guys. What are you most interested in seeing between these 4 thicknesses? For reference point, the Silence X rings are just over 0.2 millimeters. So Silence X rings compete with the Deskeys number 2 in terms of thickness. All the other 3 will actually be thicker than Silence X rings. Vote on that straw poll, ladies and gentlemen. Then I'll make a decision in about 1 minute. But it's looking like the 0.3 millimeter for the main cluster is what everyone is wanting. Alright, it's looking like 0.3 millimeter is still going to be the winner here, so we will do the number 3, 0.3 millimeter spec version for the main 60% cluster here. I'll probably do the what's the next popular one? 0.5 millimeter is the next popular one. I'll probably do that on the nav cluster, or maybe just across all the F keys. Number 4, maybe put here. I'm gonna have to make sure I type this down so I don't forget later on. Okay. Alright, so let's start with the main cluster then. 0.3 millimeter, guys. Wow, this is one of the most durable Ziploc features I've ever seen. Don't make me cut this open. There we go. I'll pour some out there. So if I recall, there are 2 sides to these. Yeah, there's a matte side and a shiny side, and if I recall, on the site itself, they say install each ring with the shinier side facing up, which I'm assuming they mean up as in like the top of the board, the keycaps. Obviously, I'm going to be assembling this facing down, so I need to put the shinier side aiming to where the keycaps are, is what it sounds like. If anyone's curious what I'm using here, there's the link. This is the product that I'm trying out today. These have just recently become available, and Deskeys was kind enough to send me over some samples to try all of them. What TKL is that? This is a Kira 80. Enjoy your dinner, Chaotic Engineering. Hope you have a good time, man. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a slider. We're going to take one of these. Shinier side facing up. So it should be pretty easy to do if you're not a goofball like me. I'll get the hang of this. They're a little hard to get over the little notch that's at the top of Topre sliders, but once you get over the notch, it's a lot easier. Okay. So we'll just start on our 60% cluster here. I am going to use a couple things to prop the board up, just to make it a little bit easier so the sliders actually fall down. Traditionally, I use my wallet on one of the sides, so I'm gonna keep up that tradition. And for the other side, I will use this little case that I keep my tweezer set in. That's about right. This is DIY at its finest, guys. Fat wallet flex. The wallet's actually brand new. That's why it's like it's so tight. Like, you know, when leather is brand new, it doesn't really have much give to it, so it feels really tight and it doesn't really like conform. So I'm breaking my wallet in just like you would with switches. Oh, the Topre one? This is a Realforce 87U. Normaforce case. OG Realforce. Not the R2. So these do have a PET coating on them to make them a little bit more durable, a little bit more consistent. A little bit easier to apply, I suppose, as well. Like, this is easier to do with my fingers than it is with the tweezers. Anyone else doing some keyboard chores today? Anything exciting? I know a lot of you might just be getting off work right now or recently. Maybe settling down for the night. Are the rings stiff or less floppy than the silent X rings? I'm not sure, because I've never used the silent X rings. They're not like floppy though. Like they stay pretty rigid because of the PET coating. Okay, eventually I'm just gonna fall into a groove here and I'm gonna get a lot faster. Calling it now. These do like to kind of stick to each other though. Changing caps, right on. Sanding space bars and resin casting. Wow. Nice. Are you making artisans? Okay, I think I'm starting to get the hang of this now. Big wooden space bars. Okay, I did not know that. Although I did order one of the Dolt shirts, though. At least I think I did. Now I'm starting to doubt myself. I hope I did. I will say these are very easy to apply once you actually kind of get in the rhythm. Me and Jay were the last two orders. Oh man, I must have cut it pretty close. I think I was like within hours or even minutes of it closing. I think I was like half asleep when I ordered it. Shoutouts to all 58 of you that are watching me put little rings onto little plastic pieces and then into other plastic pieces, which is connected to a metal piece, which will go in other metal pieces and eventually have plastic on top of them. I know this kind of content isn't always exciting to watch. That's why I like to kind of just hang out and chill with you guys and play a little music. We're relaxing right now. Zen, I guess you could say. Congratulations, Gio. You bought a shirt before me. Come on. That makes you superior, huh? Fair enough. What would be a good starter Topre keyboard? I think any of them really, because Topre boards are all kind of priced the same. Like the cost of an HHKB, the cost of a Realforce, and the cost of an FC660C are all pretty similar. I would say just go with whatever layout suits you the best. Darn it. The HHKB layout is strange to me. Where is the control key? It's where you would normally have caps lock. So, like right here, for example. A lot of people like it. I actually use it on a lot of my boards now. Keep dropping these. That's not fun. HHKB layout is really good once you get the hang of it. I agree. Functionally, it's my favorite layout. Functionally. I think it looks pretty good, too. But sometimes I'm just swayed by the more classic win keyless layout with blockers, normal backspace. Seriously? Am I just going to drop these every single time? You don't love the arrow diamond? Yeah. I don't really use arrow keys very much, so I feel like I adjusted to it a lot easier than some other people. I can see why you would not like the arrow diamond, though. I'm kind of a weirdo, and I usually set my arrows to like WASD on a 60%. And then sometimes I'll actually, instead of doing control here, I'll do function, and I'll just do like function WASD for my arrows. That way I can get to them pretty easily. I'm kind of a weirdo, though. Oh, that one went flying, and I'm not going to look for it. As usual, everyone, if anyone has any questions for me, feel free to ask them using the @TopClack tag so I can see them a lot easier. It's slightly slow going, but we're trucking our way through here a little bit. Hopefully this will all be worth it. Split backspace on this too. I mean, not on the Topre board. This was the way Mike wanted it, so I built it that way. If you're referring to the Kira 80. Definitely not my preference for TKL, but hey, it's functional. Pilot XJ asking, I am new to Topre. What is the intent of the ring? To silence the top out on the upstroke or remove play? The former. So this is to silence the upstroke, basically. Most of the noise that comes from Topre is actually on the upstroke, because when you press down into a rubber dome, and then that collapses onto the PCB. That doesn't make a whole lot of noise. But when the snapback comes up, it's hard plastic against hard plastic. So it hits pretty hard, and it does generate a lot of noise. So the idea here is this cancels out the upstroke. The downside is it does remove travel, and in Topre, that's a little bit more interesting because in an MX switch, removing travel, generally just removes travel. Like there's not really much else to it. Topre is a parabolic switch technology, basically, where you already are in the bump when you start the press, basically, and then after the bump, it kind of just collapses. So when you start the press, you're basically already starting the tactility, and by lessening the travel distance overall, like we're doing here, it brings us just slightly already more into the bump than we otherwise would be, which can affect the feel of tactility a little bit. So we'll see how this goes here. I know that was a problem I had with some thicker implementations like Hyperspheres, which I think are 0.6 millimeter, which are twice as thick as these ones that we're using here. So hopefully we don't have any kind of issues there, but that was one gripe I always had about previous silencing implementations. Feeling pain just thinking about that. It's like running really fast without underwear. A lot of noise and flapping. Wow. I mean, you're not really wrong, though. That is effectively what this is like. We're almost done with the 60% cluster here, guys. Almost. You want a mod raid? What is that? I don't even know what a mod raid is. I'm assuming other people are streaming now because this is taking me longer than I was expecting. Oh, that's 2 rings. I'll probably raid someone once I'm done here. But we might still have another hour long of this stream, honestly. Just made the same mistake again. Putting on the rest of these rings, putting in the new domes, putting the springs back in, and then reassembling everything. Topre is kind of a labor of love, guys. But the payoff can be huge. Alright, so we just have the 60% stabilized keys left here. My wire fell out. Darn it. Not supposed to fall out. Mechs on Deck just started up. I'll probably raid them. Season 2 of Cool Board is tonight? Crap, I want to watch that too. I'm assuming that probably started already as well. I need to pick up my pace here. I need to stop dropping wires too. That's getting a little old. Should be starting at 6:30. It's like 6 minutes away. Alright, so there's our 60% cluster. I'll go ahead and put the rest of these away. Wife wants ice cream, have to haul ass to Culver's, but I want to hear the result and watch Coolboard. I don't blame you, man. I want to hear the results and watch Coolboard as well. Alright, so let's put a couple of these number 2 silencing rings on. I think I'll put them just in the arrow cluster. So we'll just do 4 of these. Gotta make sure I write this down so I don't forget. Equals number 3. Arrows equal number 2. Nav equals number 4. F row will do number 5. Oh no, too many streams. Yeah, I don't usually stream on Wednesdays. Clack does not typically stream on Wednesdays. And I don't think it's going to become like a normal Wednesday thing. But I think I am going to start doing streams on Fridays more. We have to make sure we maintain 3 streams per week, basically, to achieve Twitch Partner. And of course, we'll have our main show on Thursday. Jay does build streams on Sundays. I will have a new series that is going to be coming out very soon once we finish up our art refresh and our media assets there. And then I will, of course, do the occasional build stream as well. So we're going to aim for 3 to 4 streams per week. We'll keep our Thursday and Sunday times. Friday will probably be the new series. And I'll probably try to do build streams sporadically. Alright, so these are the number 4. I only need 6 of these. The trick is finding time blocks where I'm not really interfering with people, because I want everyone to kind of have their own space and, you know, a little bit of freedom without having to worry about competing viewership, which is why I try to not do anything ever during when Nathan Kim streams, for example, or when Huey's doing stuff. This is kind of just a different occurrence today. I wasn't expecting this to take very long, honestly, and we're already an hour and a half into it. But that's my fault for not estimating properly. Alright, so these are the number 4, which is the 0.4mm thickness. We're putting these just in these 6-key nav cluster here. And then we'll do the thickest one, the number 5s, all across the top row. There's 5 keyboard streams going on right now? Holy crap. I guess I picked a bad time for this. Cool board is now at 7, so we got another half an hour. I'm going to try to speed through this. Hopefully not intersect with that too much, because I definitely want to check out the cool board. I usually watch the VODs, though. Teha types in chat. Oof. Good evening, sir. I guess, yeah, Wednesdays are the hot stream day, I guess. I don't know, I wasn't expecting this. I was like, oh, I'll just stream these Topre chores on Wednesday because no one else does that. Boy, was I wrong. We're not too far away from finishing up here, though. I'm going to try to wrap this up in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Putting these rings on is definitely the lengthiest part of this process. The rest won't be too bad. Alright, so these are the number 5 thickness, 0.5 millimeter. Putting these all across the top row. They definitely look a bit thicker. Dixie, you made a Google Calendar with all the stream times? Can you share that with me? That'd be kind of cool to have, actually. I feel like people are kind of starting to fall into their own schedules a little bit more, which is kind of nice. Top Clack is going to be falling into their schedule a little bit more very soon. I know Man of Interest tries to keep it pretty structured as well, as does Teha Types. I feel like we all have to try to work on doing our best not to step on anyone else's toes here. I mean, a little crossover is pretty much bound to happen here and there. But I think a lot of us can kind of work it out to where we can just always have content going when other people don't. That way, people will always have something to watch because it'll be more spread out. You finally made it to the sponsor gift, Dixie. Yes, you sure did. Sorry about not having it done sooner. I'm not very good at life sometimes. These thicker ones are actually a little bit easier to apply. Not that the thinner ones were terribly hard. Yeah, I tried listening to Off the Clack, but like a lot of you are saying, it seems to be a lot of rambling, often not about keyboards, and I feel like their guests don't really get a whole lot of time to talk, maybe? I don't know. I've only listened to like 2 episodes, so I'm certainly not an expert on it. Mechs on Deck, I have been enjoying. I've been watching every episode of Mechs on Deck. This is one of the spots on the keyboard that actually has an LED, so it actually has a proper slider orientation, whereas a lot of the rest of them don't, which is why I'm correcting this one now. There we go. Alright guys, we got all these sliders back in, we got all these rings installed of various kinds. Now it's time to put the new domes in, as well as these springs, and we'll put this back together, and hopefully everything is going to be hunky and or dory. I need a sip of water real quick though, boys. Headphones, these are custom. I'm not actually sure what they are. I'm not really an audio expert, but these were made for me custom by the Beepaha in the Top Clack Discord. He dabbles in a lot of audiophile stuff, custom headphones. I think the frame is like their Audio Technica. I don't remember the model number, sorry. But they're Audio Technical. I think they have some variation of Sony drivers in them. Four guests is more of a panel. You're moderating it. Yeah, it's kind of tough. Like, the more people you have on stream, it's kind of tough to coordinate. Because, like, some people like me and people like Jay and people like Man of Interest, like, we love to talk. You know, I don't necessarily mean this in a bad way, but, like, we want to be the center of attention. We want to be the people putting out information and talking about things. And it can be tough when you have, you know, two or even more people like that, because you're almost competing for screen time at that point. And then you have some people, some guests or hosts that maybe are a little bit more reserved. They don't always want to talk unless they have like something really, really important to say, so they'll just kind of sit there. And it looks like they're not contributing because, like, in reality they're not, but, you know, maybe they should be, maybe they shouldn't be. It's tough when you have people on screen to make it seem like always fair to everyone all the time. That's one thing we definitely learned earlier on in Top Clack. Having like 3 hosts back when we had Backdoor, man, it's so tough. It's having 3 hosts to a studio is like really, really difficult, having them all on screen at the same time. Yeah, like even Jay and I like trip over each other when we're alone. Did anyone pick up a full brass clipe earlier? I did not. I was actually hoping to, but I guess I missed it. I guess they sold out really fast, so I wasn't able to get in on that, sadly. But it was only like 220 bucks for the all brass clipe, which was pretty good. Okay, like engineering is back. Hey, what's up, man? We're kind of on getting to the final stretch here. Gonna be putting some domes in, then some springs, and then we'll be going from there. Putting her back together. I got all the sliders in with the silencing rings. I'm pretty much just gonna put all these in right now, and I'll worry about aligning them after I have them all in. Yeah, I do believe Leandrin said he would think about putting out more of the brass units if they went over well, if the quality was high enough. You don't have audio? But what was the Topre TKL he's working on? This is a Realforce 87U, round 1. It will be going in a white Normaforce. Some of these domes are getting a little too friendly with each other. Yeah, the silencing rings are just for that, really, to silence them, make them a lot quieter. Some people need very, very quiet boards. Topre by default is already relatively quiet compared to a lot of MX switches, but some people want even further. Try to move this a little bit more on the stream. Sorry, guys. Top thud. Yeah. So on Friday, I will be doing a build stream. I'll be streaming a rebuild of a TX 1800. It's going to have lube Gateron inks. Should be pretty cool. Of course, tomorrow, Thursday, we have our normal Top Clack episode, like every week, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Next week, I'm going to be building my Leaf 60. Finally! Pretty excited to build that up. I'm not 100% sure what switches I'm going to put in it yet, but I'm going to make that decision and have them lubed before then. Pretty stoked for the Leaf, though. I got the E-white body, the E-black accent, and a black polycarbonate plate, so kind of a monochrome theme going on. Should be pretty fun. Ah, crap. Alright, I'm gonna have to get fancy here. So remember the LED thing I had to do with this portion over here? I'm gonna have to do that again with the caps lock. I'm going to try to do this without affecting any domes. Or affecting them too much, at least. This is okay. This is all okay. So I'm going to rotate the slider because there's an LED hole there. There we go. Alright, not too bad. No harm, no foul, sort of. This is a round 187U. Yes, correct. Alright, now we got all these domes in. I'm going to put the springs in, and then I'm going to fix the alignment, basically. The reason I'm going to put the springs in before I fix the alignment is so I hopefully only have to do it once and not twice. So that is why. Thank you all for hanging out with me, though. I appreciate it. I know there are other cool keyboard streams going on right now that you could be checking out as well. And if you felt like going to do that, then you do you, man. No harm, no foul. I know, I think Mech's on Deck is going on right now. And they are a fun duo of fine young gentlemen with a cool approach. You're fixing a stream issue at the moment? Uh-oh. Nothing ever goes right when you do something live. Take it from someone that's been doing it for a few years now. It's so hard to get everything perfect, it almost never works. Man, I remember the first year of Top Clack pretty much was just riddled with technical difficulties. Like every single stream. We just could not get everything right for the life of us. But now we're quite a bit better at it, thankfully. I need to hurry up. Yeah, you're right, Gio. I can only put these in so fast. We're getting there, though. Boys and girls, we're getting there. Chewy, are you challenging me to a beard growing contest? I don't know, man. I think your beard is a little bit more glorious than mine ever will be. I don't actually like the way my beard grows. So I like having facial hair, but I don't really like having a really long beard most of the time. I'm rushing, guys. I'm rushing. Rushing hard. What set is on the TKL? This one? This is GMK Triumph Adler 90. TA90. It was ran on Kono a little while back. I managed to pick up a set. It's pretty cool. Check it out, row 5 cherry, guys. You don't see that too often. Also, when I'm done with this, you guys better be prepared to raid. We're gonna go raid another keyboard stream once I'm done with this. Hopefully in the next 15 minutes or so. It's either gonna be Mechs on deck, or it's gonna be Man of Interest, who's probably doing the clue board starting in a couple minutes. Or the cool board, I mean. Probably gonna be one of those two. So be prepared to raid at the end of this. We're gonna go raid someone and we're gonna give them nice compliments. That's what I like to do when I raid. It's gonna be a wholesome raid. No row 0? Yeah, no row 0. I've actually never experienced row 0 cherry before. Okay. Uh oh. There we go. So yeah, that's magic. That's how you break apart two Topre springs. Generally. Sometimes it doesn't always go over that easily. You just bounce them. Is there a set with row 0 and row 5? I'm not sure. I feel like there's one, but I can't remember. Alright. Let's put these BKE Redux light domes back in this packaging here. Get that out of our way, and let's begin the reassembly process. Huey's live? Alright, we're going to try to speed this up, guys. I need to align these domes a little bit better. I'm trying to keep my perfect track record here. I've never reassembled a Topre board and not have every key work. So, I'm gonna try to keep up this 100%. They don't have to be 100% perfect. A lot of the times they'll just work anyway. They might feel a little off though. But I try to keep them nice and consistent. So I apologize for the tediousness that you're watching at the moment. It's not terribly hard to align them, thankfully. It just takes a couple moments. You want to try to make sure you don't have any domes overlapping, though, because that will give you issues. If not with functionality, it'll definitely affect the feel. Okay, this is looking pretty good. What do you think, guys? So it's pretty solid. You just jinxed it for yourself? You know what's funny? I say it every time that I get it perfect. And I still have gotten it perfect every time. Topre modding and tediousness name a more iconic duo. I know, right? Looping switches, yeah. I guess we'll find out, guys. I guess we'll find out. Okay. Now we are going to put the PCB back on. Once I'm done being OCD about this. Alright. We're going to put the PCB back on. I like to do it this way. Upside down like this because I find it a little bit easier. I am probably going to wind up covering the camera with my head because I have to see through these holes to make sure I line up with the standoffs perfectly. You don't want to put it down and then adjust it. You want it to go straight down exactly where it's going to be, then you screw it in. So that's what's going to happen here. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and put a few of these ground screws in. Taken apart your Nova Touch like 10 times and you're still unhappy with it. Welcome to Topre, man. I don't think I've ever been 100% happy with any Topre board. Usually I'm unhappy about the stabs, because like it seems like no matter what you do, no matter what lube you use, how much lube you use, where you lube, doesn't seem to matter. They always just don't come out quite perfect. Trying heat shrink mod on Topre stabs. That could work. I feel like heat shrink has a lot of potential. I still haven't tried the heat shrink mod on any stabilizers. I like how I'm putting these screws in without testing it first. You'd think I'd learned my lesson by now. I've thought about doing electrical tape. It's just hard because you really need something like super duper thin. Yeah, I understand like the theory behind it. It makes sense. I just haven't tried it yet. All right. First things first, I'm the realist, but I also need to plug in this USB header here. There we go. This ground wire goes here, if I recall. I need to put the washers on too for the case. These are for the actual Realforce case. One right there. One right there. One down here. And the other down here. Gonna employ our favorite levitation utensils as well. Which makes it pretty easy thanks to the big bezels here. And we're going to put these big boy screws back in. Try to make sure I have this lined up properly. Sorry guys. right. Melida asking, to what extent would you say which board you use affects the experience of Topre? I feel like I should like, but I am not loving my HHKB so far. I think the HHKB is more just purely about modding potential, in my experience. I think the HHKB is actually probably the worst stock Topre board. So if you're just using the stock Topre HHKB, I think it's really nothing that special. I feel like it really needs modding to really get anywhere. I would say my favorite stock Topre board is definitely the 55 gram Realforce, followed by the FC660C, and then the 45 gram Realforce. HHKB needs mods, man. Otherwise, it feels kind of cheap. It feels kind of weak. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I'm caught on something here. Oh, or not. Okay. We're almost there, guys. There's only 800 million screws in a Realforce / Norbaforce. There's legitimately like 40 screws between everything. Maybe even more. I have a feeling, if I'm being honest, this isn't going to go entirely the way I want. That's kind of why I gave a little bit of a disclaimer at the beginning of the stream. This particular Realforce configuration is kind of messed up. I don't have the original screws for most of it, which is why I used some aftermarket screws from a local specialty store. I don't think they quite work as well. And because of that, the sound is a little off. It almost sounds a little rattly. It still works. It's just, it doesn't sound quite as precise as Topre generally does. Eventually, I'm going to, I'm missing a screw? Eventually, I'm going to get a different Realforce innard to put in here, probably like an 86U instead of the 87U. One that is actually complete. But for the sake of this, we're gonna see anyways. I would have liked to do this more on my HHKB, but my HHKB is not currently in my possession. And I couldn't buy another Topre board in time for this stream today. So, You guys are unfortunately just gonna have to deal with it a little bit. Not dailying serious anymore. I have been until yesterday. I wanted to use this board for a couple days before I sent it back to Mike over at Novel Keys. I built this for him and just want to make sure everything sounds good, feels good, and looks good before I send it back to him. I know I'm really slow at putting on keycaps, guys. I'm sorry. I can't be good at everything. I can only be good at most things. But yeah, once I send this back, actually, I'll probably have my Kepler innards back. So I'm going to be using the Kepler a little bit more, since I haven't really had the chance to use it yet. But I'll probably swap more between Kepler and Sirius, because I think both boards are really, really good. At that point, is it not worth just getting a different Topre board, though? Like, if I need to get 55-gram domes, why not just use the Realforce? Layout preferences. Some people prefer the HHKB layout. A lot of people do, actually. I would say that's a big part of it. But some people also, some people prefer not just necessarily the layout, but the softer plastic feel of the HHKB when you bottom out, because it is an integrated plastic plate, as opposed to the Realforce, which uses a basically a top mount steel plate. So I mean, it's just like other board preferences, really. I'm not sure where that key goes. I think it goes there. Song is lit. YouTube, please play music. Alright, we got this back together now. Let's do a little bit of a typing test, shall we? Pause this music. Alright, I'm going to move the mic a little bit closer, do a little bit of a typing test for you guys. Where's my chi? Here's my chi. Alright guys, so this is, do bear in mind, this doesn't sound quite the same as a lot of other Topre will, unfortunately, but I think we'll still get a benefit from the silencing effect. Doesn't sound quite as clean as other Topre. I'm going to replace the internals at some point, you know, just with an entirely new Realforce setup, but we'll try to get a vague idea of what's going on here. So first I'm just going to type on the normal stuff, just the 60% cluster, which of course we use the number 3 option on, which was the 0.03 millimeters. This one right here, number 3. That's going to be this main cluster here, guys. Did I lube my stabs? Yeah, so the board, I already had the board lubed. So the board's already lubed, stabs already lubed. Stabs actually came out pretty well, pretty quiet. This is pretty darn quiet. Even with my kind of weird Franken Realforce configuration going on here. It's still pretty quiet. You're ruining your life typing like that? Yeah, I know. So of course, again, this is the number 3. I have the number 2 over here on the arrow keys, which are just a little bit louder. They don't really feel much different though. So then over on this nav cluster here, we have the number 4. So this is 0.3 millimeter. This is 0.2 millimeter. Over here is the 0.4 millimeter. So I'm definitely noticing a little less sound, a little deeper thud with the 0.4. I feel like at the 0.4 you start to feel a little bit more of that travel reduction though. It's not bad, but you can definitely feel that you're not going quite as far down. Alright, and this entire top row here, this entire top F row is done with the number 5, which is the 0.5 millimeter, guys. So this one should be the most quietest, but also have the most travel reduction. So again, here's the number 2. Here's the number 3. Here's the number 4. Here's the number 5. So I think that definitely the number 5 is the quietest. I think that's quite noticeable, particularly if you're comparing them to the 2 and 3. I think the 5 is very, very quiet compared to the number 2 and number 3. Still, though, you do get a bit of a noticeable amount of travel reduction. With the number 2 and the number 3, you really do feel, it feels fairly close to traditional Topre. It feels like you're pretty much starting at the top of the bump. With the number 5, it feels like you're starting just a little into the bump. I feel like the 4 actually might be my favorite out of the bunch here. The travel reduction isn't too bad. You can feel it a little bit, but it's not too bad. And it's still a bit quieter than the 2 and 3, but not quite as quiet as the 5. This is tough here, guys. What are the sliders lubed with? Oh man, I don't even remember. I'm almost positive that they're lubed with Tribassys 3203. Is this uniform BKE lights? Yes, correct. This is uniform BKE lights. Sliders lubed with 3203. This 60% cluster, we got our 0.3 millimeter ones, that's the number 3. Arrow keys are 0.2 millimeter, that's the number 2. The nav cluster is the 0.4 millimeters, that's number 4. And the number 5 at 0.5 millimeters is this entire top row. Yeah, I think if silence is really your goal here, silence like is the driving factor behind actually buying these rings, and you want it to be as quiet as possible. You know, the 5 really seems like the clear winner here. I think 5 feels the worst just because of that extra reduction in travel distance. But it is definitely quieter than the rest of the bunch. I feel like 4 and 5 aren't too far away from each other, though, in terms of quietness. It's pretty close. I think 4 might be my favorite out of the bunch, in terms of, you know, overall. I do prefer the feel of the 2 and 3 the most. So I mean, it really kind of depends on, you know, what you're kind of looking for, right? So I mean, some of you might want a little extra silence, but you know, without reducing any kind of tactility or you know, noticeable feel. And some of you might not care as much for the feel, and you just want as quiet as humanly possible. And I think you know, while there isn't going to be one of these that gives you ultimate silence without sacrificing any of the genuine Topre feel, I do think it's nice that they give you an array of 4 of them to choose from, so you can kind of tailor your experience how you want it. That's something we haven't really seen too much of before. Hyperspheres, you know, were kind of just one thickness and one thickness only, and you know, Silence X rings, the same thing. I think key clack rings were also the same, if I'm not mistaken. Dental bands, screw dental bands. No one needs to use dental bands in this day and age, anyways. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I think these are good. I think these are good, even though I don't really care for Silence Topre. But I think that these are definitely going to be a winner if you kind of want a little bit more tailored of a silenced experience, where you can kind of level your feel and sound the way you want, as opposed to just having it be one way and one way only. So I definitely think this is pretty good. I'm gonna post the link one more time in chat for anyone that's curious and maybe wants to purchase some of these. We're not sponsored by Deskeys. We don't get any money for this. These were just review samples. Shout out to Kevin Plus in the Discord. He wanted to know if I wanted to try out some of these and sample them and maybe do a little review on them. I told him I would definitely do at least a stream or something. So that's what I did, and that's kind of how I feel. They feel nice. They don't change my life, but I don't need silence. This is not the target market. I am not the target market for this product, but they are good. I will say they are good. And for $28, you get like 120 of them. That's not too bad. You can kind of tailor your experience the way you want, you know. I think the number 4 is my overall favorite. I feel like the 4 is the best balance between feel and sound. 5 sacrifices feel a bit, but it does sound the quietest. And 2 and 3 I feel like are... I can't really tell the difference between 2 and 3. I think 2 and 3 are a little too indistinguishable to me to be able to tell. But I like them. It was nice. And putting them on was a pretty easy experience, you know, because they have that PET coating on them. Pretty nice, pretty simple. They go on easy, quick. I like it. Do they work with O-ring dampeners? Or do they work like O-ring dampeners? Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how an O-ring works, right? You just put material over something that hits something else. Nothing really changed here. Sorry if answered already, but is the material of the rings are made of specified anywhere? I don't know, actually. It's a good question. I just posted the link in chat, guys. I'll post it again for anyone that might have missed it. I don't think it says. Maybe I could try to get that information from them on Discord or something. Because the only thing it really says here is just the PET coating on the top. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna go raid. But yeah, final thoughts there, guys. I think the number 4 is my overall winner. I think the 5 is the best for absolute silence, and these two both don't really affect feel too much, and they do give you a little bit of silence, but I can't really tell the difference between them personally. So, you know, I think depending on what route you want to take, hopefully that information helps you. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. You are welcome for the stream, Pilot XJ. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it, guys. Who are we rating, guys? Are we doing mechs on deck? Who's live right now? I gotta go look. I see Man of Interest is live. Is mechs on deck live? I'm trying to type on a keyboard that's not plugged in. Mechs on deck. They are currently live, right? Am I seeing this right? Yep. Okay, so we're gonna raid mechs on deck here. 1 second. Get your raiding pants on, everyone. Let's go over there and we're gonna give them compliments. We're gonna tell them how good they look and how good of a job they're doing. Alright. Let's get it, boys and girls. Get this raiding party started.